for years by some of my subscribers, and now for months on end with my newer subscribers I've had. One of the biggest questions that everybody asks me about Mike Tomlin is, well, Mac, if you want Mike Tomlin gone, who are you going to replace him with? Yinz don't think I got an answer for that. I came up with 5 replacements for Mike Tomlin. This is strictly my opinion, but I have come up with an answer for it. What is good, everybody? I am Mac, back with another video. It is Wednesday night as I am recording this video. Do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram, link in the box below. So yeah, you got the question, I got the answer. Who can replace Mike Tomlin, or who would I replace Mike Tomlin with should the Steelers move on from him? Either they go forward with the trade rumors that I've been hearing left and right, or Tomlin just decides to call it a career. Well, I got 5 people in mind right here, and I'm going to go from ascending order from 5 to 1. So let me just get started with this right away. My number 5 guy is who a lot of Steeler fans actually have at number 1. But my number 5 guy is Eric Bieniemy. He is currently Washington's offensive coordinator, I believe. And before you go like, well, why would you want Eric Bieniemy here? Look at what, Washington stinks. They're not going anywhere. You take a look at what Eric Bieniemy has done with Washington this season. He actually made Washington's passing offense promising, and he made Washington's offense look prolific in a lot of the games this year. There was actually a point where Sam Howell was actually leading the league in passing yards. And with the way that Eric Bieniemy can just mesh with him, whoever we decide to have start a quarterback for next season, or who we even take in the draft if we do go quarterback with the first round, I think Eric Bieniemy can mesh really well with whoever the Steelers decide to go with at quarterback. Now, how does he handle a locker room? I don't know about that part yet, but the very worst that he can do is just show that, it is the quarterback issue that we're having here, and we need to find, another signal caller. But I would be on board with having Eric Bieniemy here as replacing Mike Tomlin. My number 4 guy is another popular pick for Steeler fans, and that is Zac Robinson, who is the Los Angeles Rams quarterback coach. And he's had that role for 2 years now, and you know where I'm going with this. It's Sean McVay's roots. Sean McVay is a very good offensive-minded coach. He's been very successful since becoming the Rams head coach, I believe back in 2017, where the Rams have had a winning season in all but 1 year since Sean McVay was there, and that was last season, where they were the worst defending Super Bowl champions of all time. But still, Sean McVay has done a phenomenal job out in LA as the Rams coach, and with the roots that he has with, guys like Matt LaFleur, Zach Taylor, Kevin O'Connell, they've seen a lot of success. Matt LaFleur's been doing a great job in Green Bay. Zach Taylor, he was a candidate for Coach of the Year in 2021 for the Bengals. And Kevin O'Connell, I think he's been doing a pretty good job up in Minnesota. So I think if you send us a clone of Sean McVay, or a guy who knows how Sean McVay operates, I really do think Zac Robinson is built up to succeed with the talent that the Pittsburgh Steelers have on offense. I think he can work well with quarterbacks, and I really do think that he's in good shape to make these targets be as successful as they can possibly be. So Zac Robinson is my number 4 guy. My number 3 guy, Brian Johnson. No, not AC/DC singer Brian Johnson, although that'd be pretty cool, not going to lie. But I'm talking about Philly's quarterback coach. And why Eagle fans don't like this guy is beyond me. He's had a lot of success since being the Eagles' QB coach. He really played a big part in developing Jalen Hurts, and he has really meshed well with giving a good set of skill sets for him as well. Whereas, like, say I'm just being hypothetical here. Say the Steelers do plan on making Kenny Pickett the QB for the long-term future. It's like, okay, we know that he's probably not the guy, but we do know some of his strengths include mobility in a pocket, maneuverability in the pocket. And I think with the way that he made Jalen Hurts being able to take off on the goal like that, he can make Kenny Pickett, that kind of quarterback to where he can extend plays and he can scramble and he can make receivers create their own routes. So, I really don't know why Eagle fans don't like this guy, but I think he's been doing a great job in Philly. Plus, he has the ties with Omar Khan, our GM, and he has a lot of connections over there in Philly. We've gotten a lot of players and personnel from the Eagles since Omar Khan became GM, so it would not surprise me at all if we tried to lure Brian Johnson over here to be the next head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers if he stays in Philly for one more year and then they just decide to move on from him at the same time where Tomlin just calls it a quits, or we actually do the unthinkable and either trade him or fire him. But only time will tell there. But yeah, Brian Johnson is my number 3 guy. Now, my number 2 guy, this is the only defensive-minded guy that I have on this list. And I know he has no coaching experience, but sometimes you got to think outside the box a little bit. My number 2 guy, Ryan Clark. Now, why on earth would I want a football analyst from a football analyst from Get Up to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers? Why would I want, or First Take, I'm sorry. Why would I want a guy from First Take to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers? It's simple. Ryan Clark knows what it means to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. He's one of Cowher's guys. He was a hard-nosed, hard-blooded, cold-blooded, vicious safety who gave his all every single time that he took the field. Just ask Willis McGahee about that. I think his head is still ringing after that shot that he took from him in the 2008 AFC Championship game. But Ryan Clark knows all about what it means to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. And that's why he's my only defensive-minded guy, because I would say if you still want to have a defensive-minded coach be your head coach, it would be Ryan Clark. Okay? And like I said, we don't know how this guy would fare as being a head coach, but I can tell you with the way that he openly criticizes Mike Tomlin, the way that he openly criticizes the Steeler way that is now the standard of winning just 9 games, and the way that he's called out the team, there is no doubt in my mind that he would be a really good motivator in that locker room, getting these guys' heads on straight, not taking any of the BS that they do off the field, and getting this team mentally prepared to go into battle. I really do think Ryan Clark would make a really good head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because like I said, he's one of Cowher's guys. Cowher never put up with this crap. Cowher would not take this crap. And Ryan Clark has that intimidation factor. Yeah, that intimidation factor that Steeler fans have been so deprived of ever since pretty much Mike Tomlin became the head coach. Because do you really think Mike Tomlin's an intimidating guy? Do you think you'd want to mess around with a guy like Mike Tomlin? The thing is, once you see someone as a friend, you're not scared of them and you're not intimidated by them. You put Ryan Clark on the sidelines with a headset and a clipboard, and you put him in that locker room coming off a bad loss, I'd be scared of him. I really would. And I really think that this team would give it their all for Ryan Clark. So, Ryan Clark, I don't think he's ever going to leave First Take. I think he has it real good over there. And yes, I do agree that if he did want to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think he would have took the job right away. But that doesn't stop me from voicing my opinion. I would love to have Ryan Clark be head coach of this team, especially managing that locker room. So he's my number 2 guy. But let's be honest, my number 1 guy is kind of like a no-brainer right here. My number 1 guy is Ben Johnson, offensive coordinator for Detroit. This guy's offensive mind is brilliant. A lot of people are saying that, he's the next up-and-coming offensive-minded coach, that, he's learned a lot under Dan Campbell. And something else I forgot to mention, by the way, with Ryan Clark, people are saying, well, why would you want a guy that that has never had coaching experience be your head coach? Speaking of that, that's what everybody said about Dan Campbell. Look at Dan Campbell. The Detroit Lions just clinched their first division title in 30 years. But getting back to Ben Johnson, this guy is so smart at developing offensive game plans. He gets the most out of everyone on that Detroit offense. He has them battling in and game out, putting points up on the board, the big chunk plays. Those are his specialties, getting creative offensively, and he has the tools to do that because he has a tight end like Pat Freiermuth, because he has a receiver like Pickens, and he can get a guy like Deontay Johnson's head on straight as well. He's got a good run game in Jaylen Warren. I think he might be able to fix up Najee Harris as well. And I really do think that he can work well with the QBs that we have right here, depending on who we start. Now, does this mean that he's going to want to come to Pittsburgh? Probably not. I think Ben Johnson is going to go to a team that has their answer at QB for the future. Like maybe the Chargers are going to try and snag him up because they're on their interim coach right now. Maybe Carolina might want to do that considering they have Bryce Young and they took him first overall. But any way you look at it, I think the Steelers need to at least talk to Ben Johnson, and they need to be like, hey, you want to come on over here and be the head coach of the Steelers? It's the same thing I've said with Frank Reich. The very worst that Ben Johnson can do is say thanks but no thanks. But that's an indicator that at least you tried to get him on over to Pittsburgh and be that successor to Mike Tomlin. But yeah, Ben Johnson, I think, is a perfect head coach. I think he is a perfect offensive-minded guy in today's league because, like I said, we need a coach who understands today's philosophy in the NFL, which is about offense. And while I do have a defensive-minded coach on this list, at the end of the day, it's about offense today. But yeah, Ben Johnson is my number 1 guy to replace Mike Tomlin. And that'll do it for this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Did I leave anyone out? Who do you guys think? I'm curious. Who do you guys think can be a good replacement for Tomlin? I'd like to know down in the comments below. And this is Mac checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.